Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. Today we are going to check out another of the brand new wild packs that have just been released by Mattel. They've been hitting Walmarts across the United States. Not quite yet in the Walmart system, but hopefully they will be soon. But this one is another really cool version of the Rhamphorhynchus. Obviously, this is a sculpt we've had in the past, but a brand new paint scheme. And I must say that I am really excited about this one because we haven't had too many Rhamphorhynchus figures from Mattel. It's not like the Dimorphodon where we've had like 40,000. We only had a few of the Rhamphorhynchus, but this one particularly looks great as far as the coloration goes, so I'm very excited to get it out of the package and take a look at it with you guys. But as far as the box art goes, you know, it's your standard as far as the Dino Escape line. I am intrigued to see that we no longer see the Camp Cretaceous logo up here anymore. Now it's back to the Jurassic World logo. And then here on the back, we have an image showing off some of the other figures here in this wave. We have, again, the Rhamphorhynchus we're about to take a look at. There's also the Shringosaurus, which we have already taken a look at, and then the Mononychus and Velociraptor as well. So let's go ahead, pop this out of the box, and check out this really cool Rhamphorhynchus. Okay, fresh out of the packaging, I can tell you with complete confidence that I can't stand it up, apparently, because it's not standing the right way. I can tell you that for sure this is my favorite version of the Rhamphorhynchus so far. Like, look at that really nice looking paint scheme they've given this one. This is super appealing to the eye, and one thing that's really exciting is that we actually do have some paint out onto the tail, and just look at how much of a huge difference that makes as far as the coloration, the appeal factor of the figure once you add some paint out onto the tail. It just looks so much nicer. We even have paint here on the underside as far as the wings being, you know, that dark blackish coloration. It's actually like a blackish blue. Now, definitely a black. A little tough to tell, but that is, again, a very nice looking version of the Rhamphorhynchus. Definitely my favorite so far, so let's jump straight to a closer look at it right now. So again, being a figure that we have already reviewed in the past, we don't need to take a look at the actual sculpt. The sculpt is fantastic, very well done on the part of Mattel. What we need to take a look at is anything that's new with this figure compared to the previous releases, and that would be the paint application, because otherwise it's the same figure, I think, completely as the last few Rhamphorhynchus releases. But as far as the coloration goes here on the face, you can see that we primarily have like a very dark blue or a black coloration that kind of engulfs the face all up on the top of the head, all around the eye socket, and leading out into the beak of the pterosaur. But then it really nicely transitions to an orange, and I love that. I actually would have liked some of the orange on the underside, but I still think it looks really cool with the orange only on the upper side, and then the gray here for the underside. There's also some of those speckles, those Mattel speckles I could see poking up there on the lower jaw. The eye also appears to be kind of an orangish tone of color, but a different orange than what we see there on the beak. You can also see the teeth are painted with an off-white, kind of bordering actually more on a yellow, I think. We do have an articulated jaw as per usual, and the inside of the mouth is also painted really nicely. You can see that we have a very nice realistic tone of like a pinkish coloration in there. Nice gloss coat as well, so it shines very nicely like a saliva-like look. The eye as well has, again, a gloss coat to it, and the eye on this side isn't quite as nice as the one on the opposing side. So the quality control issues as far as Mattel goes clearly will continue, but hopefully at some point they'll work that out. It's just that they certainly have not done that quite yet. Leading back into the neck, you can see again that the lower part of the body stays that light gray, but up here on the back we have again more of that really dark kind of a bluish coloration. But I like how it also kind of spots down there from the side. That looks really nice, really natural on the figure. And then as we reach here into the shoulder area, leading back into the back, you start to see a pretty cool mixture of the light gray and this darker coloration, and they just kind of like splotch back and forth before completely disappearing here right around the hip region of the Rhamphorhynchus. And then leading out into the tail, that darker coloration leads out there, although it actually looks more like a dark blue on the body. Once it reaches the wings, it almost has more of a blackish type of a look. And as we lead out into the wing, you can see again how we have some of that light gray coming from the bottom of the skin here on the wing, the black coming from the top, and then that as well, just like we saw in the beak, transitions to from the light gray to an orange here, and then again we have the black that kind of runs down and stripes down throughout the course of the wing within the orange coloration before completely transitioning to black for the entire wingtip. Same deal over here as far as the coloration goes. I think it looks phenomenal as far as the way it's applied, and you can also actually see kind of like the blacks creeping through some of the light grays. So it's not like this is just a really thick, solid light gray. Like, it looks like almost like you have a wash on there so that the detail pops, which is another thing I really love. I don't actually think it's a wash. I think that's just the way that they've painted it, but it looks absolutely awesome because of that. And then we go back to the body. You can see more of that light gray. As we head out onto the tail, you start to see more of those speckles. Those speckles pick up. They're like a dark blue on this one, and they're, again, really quite abundant, which I love. And then the tail transitions to that black, and it's a really nice smooth transition as we lead out to that really cool Rhamphorhynchus tip of the tail. The underside also sports the light gray, again the black tip for the tail, but we also have the light gray running up the underside of the pterosaur. We unfortunately don't have any nail paint or anything like that, which, as always, I will say would make the figure look, you know, quite a bit nicer, but honestly this one looks fantastic in general even without that. And then we lead out into the wings here, and you can see again that the wings are nothing on the underside other than a black, that darkish coloration, again like a black or a dark blue, but it looks really good. And honestly, I think the wings themselves were probably originally that color, and then they painted this light gray up over, and that would probably be why we see some of the darker color underneath, which again, I really like that. But definitely the nicest version of the Rhamphorhynchus so far, and far and away one of my favorite pterosaurs from Mattel. As far as articulation goes on our Rhamphorhynchus, again we have the articulated jaw, which works actually really quite nicely. We also have articulation in the neck, so we can swivel the neck all the way around if we choose to, but we can also go up and down, you know, get some really good mobility for our pterosaur, and some really cool posability as well. So now we're flying over, maybe looking for a bite to eat or something like that. Once we reach the wings, we of course have the swivel, that we can swivel the wing around. We can also, again, flap the wing, although I need to get it back past the leg right there, that's kind of in the way there. But we can flap the wings, we can make them, you know, head down. We can also have them go up. So, as per usual, lots of articulation on the wings as well. We also have the articulation of the legs. They do move together, you can't move them individually, but they move really nicely as well. So, really nice articulation on the Dimorphodon on top of a gorgeous paint scheme. As far as the size goes, it's the exact same size as the previous Rhamphorhynchus, but for a width here on the wingspan, you were looking at right around the 7.5-inch range, or about the 18.5 centimeter area, closing in on 19 centimeters, very close actually. And for a length, if we go this direction here, we are looking at about 5.25 inches, or around the 13.5 centimeter area. If the head was actually out a little bit better, probably would have been pretty close to that. But for a size comparison, here are our usual review comparison suspects with Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line, in comparison to our brand new Rhamphorhynchus. And you can see it, as far as the figure goes size-wise, it is certainly a small figure. A lot of the pterosaurs from the Mattel line have been pretty small for the majority of the time that they have been releasing pterosaurs, and this Rhamphorhynchus falls right in the same size range as probably like the Dimorphodons, the smaller Pteranodons, you know, like those normal-sized ones. So pretty similar to all of the other pterosaurs if you happen to have any previous pterosaurs from Mattel. So this brand new variant of the Rhamphorhynchus is fantastic. Definitely one of, if not my favorite pterosaurs from the Mattel line, if we exclude the Amber Collection Pteranodon, because I don't think anything will beat that one. But definitely one of my favorites, if not my favorite, again, aside from the Pteranodon, because the paint of this one is awesome. It looks so nice, so appealing to the eye. I'm, first of all, a big fan of Rhamphorhynchus. I always have been. It's just a really cool pterosaur that just looks unique and different, and I've just really been drawn to it. But to have the Rhamphorhynchus, again, one of my favorite pterosaurs, get this kind of really cool paint scheme is just super, super awesome. I'm always a big fan of oranges on, you know, prehistoric creatures, mostly dinosaurs usually, but apparently I like it on pterosaurs as well, because the orange really shines on this Rhamphorhynchus, and they've done a great job of choosing other tones of color that mesh well with the orange, with the darker colors and the lighter grays. It all combines to make one of the most visually appealing pterosaurs that Mattel has released so far. For the most part, the paintwork is all really nice and precise as well, aside from the one eye. Everything else looks to be painted really good. Really nice naturalistic looking application of the paint, smooth transitions and everything as far as that goes. Of course, we would have liked to have had nail paint on the figure, but that's just probably not ever going to happen. The sculpt is great. I love the sculpt of the Rhamphorhynchus from Mattel. It was always fantastic every time they've released it. I think this might be like the third time now. Maybe. I might not be remembering correctly, who knows, but it's still a great sculpt. Now with this particular release, it just looks better than it ever has with this really nice paint application. And then you have some really fun articulation as per usual when it comes to the Mattel line. Really nice articulation throughout the entire course of the figure. So as a whole, this is, in my opinion, the best Rhamphorhynchus we've had yet, and definitely one of the best pterosaurs in general. So make sure you head to your local Walmart or Target and check those stores out. Hopefully you'll be able to find and acquire this Rhamphorhynchus. Easily worth a pickup, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.